welcome to another video. It's another all new news video that we've got in store for you today, in which we look at some of the biggest headlines that are buzzing around the world of football right now. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you, please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into the headlines. Okay, so first on the agenda today, we begin with Manchester United's Bruno Fernandes, who is said to have stalled within negotiations over a new contract at Old Trafford. The news comes from The Athletic, who is saying that the 27-year-old has stalled talks in the autumn of last year over a new deal, but negotiations are set to resume at the end of the season, or around about the end of the season, with the playmaker seeking to be one of the top earners, or if not one of around the top earners at the club. United themselves are said to be very relaxed over this. Fernandes does have 3.5 years remaining on his current deal with United, and United always seem to put in a 1-year contract extension should they wish to trigger it at any moment within players' contracts, and it seems that Fernandes is no different in that aspect. So really, he does really have 4.5 years left at the club, with all due respect. And it seems that if all things are being taken to be true, then it's being said that Fernandes right now is concentrating on his football, which is why the talks have been put on pause over a new deal. It's interesting though, this one. We know that Bruno Fernandes brings a lot to this team. He brings a lot to the table in terms of his quality and ability. His playmaking attributes and even his goal scoring have been very good since his arrival at Old Trafford at Manchester United a couple of years ago. They're likely to give him whatever wages he wants to, because it's Man United and at the end of the day, and they want to keep hold of their best players. They definitely have the money to do it. So that's not necessarily a problem either. There doesn't seem to be a problem in terms of the Man United side of this deal. They'll pretty much give him whatever he wants, we feel. I just wonder on Bruno's part whether the amount of uncertainty and the element of the unknown that's currently surrounding Manchester United right now might be enough to make him turn his head and possibly look to see if the grass is greener elsewhere. I highly doubt it. I would imagine that he would probably see out the rest of his current contract and extend his current contract in the meantime. But it is always nice to consider, or worth considering, or worth even throwing into the conversation and debate. Like I say, I highly doubt that will happen. I imagine that Fernandes will stay at United. But like I say, there is no reason for United to panic right now. And we'll just have to wait and see what the future holds for one Bruno Fernandes. Next up, we move on to a worrying story surrounding Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Again, The Athletic leading the way on this story, stating that the Gabon striker's African Cup of Nations tournament might be over before it's even begun, after he was diagnosed with heart lesions. The Arsenal striker was diagnosed with this condition after recovering from COVID, and he is currently in Cameroon for the African Cup of Nations, which he has yet to play in, but he could be forced to withdraw completely from that tournament should medical staff see fit to do so. It's being said that he will remain in Cameroon whilst further tests are completed and carried out, and they will get a clearer idea, therefore, of how serious the situation is, and of course the issues surrounding this problem and how to proceed with treating it. The article further states that the Gabon medical team is in constant contact with Arsenal and their medical team, keeping them up to date with the situation, and that a return to the UK possibly could be on the cards and could happen should they feel it is necessary to send Aubameyang home and to do so. Overall, though, it's being said that the situation is not majorly serious with all things considered, but of course it is still very concerning, especially with the heart, with the problems with the heart. We have seen very recently, actually, of course, heart issues being the major reason why one Sergio Aguero retired from the game not too long ago. So it is pretty concerning, but the Gabon medical team have said it's not overall serious. But either way, we do wish all the best to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Our next story brings us to Everton Football Club and their search for a new manager. Of course, yesterday saw the dismissal of one Rafa Benitez from the Everton hot seat, and today brings us to the beginning of the search for his successor. So far, it's been said that Brighton's Graham Potter, former Chelsea manager Frank Lampard, and current Derby manager Wayne Rooney, who is also a former Everton player, of course, are all said to be in the running and being considered for the job. I personally think that Potter wouldn't jump ship right now from Brighton. I don't think it's logical for him to jump ship from Brighton to Everton. I also see Lampard out of work being a relatively straightforward or more straightforward deal. However, would Lampard want to go into that toxic world of Everton Football Club? I don't think he would. And for Rooney, I personally do hope that he stays at Derby, just so that I can see him see the job through and see if he can see the job through with Derby. He is doing an incredible job down in the Championship with Derby, facing unbelievable circumstances with that club, being deducted 21 points and still managing to give them a fighting chance at staying up. I really want to see if he can finish that job off. But there is another name amongst them that is being discussed, a former Everton manager himself in Roberto Martinez, who is said to have emerged as a front runner for the vacant managerial role in recent hours. The current Belgian manager, of course, spent 3 years with the Toffees during 2013 to 2016 and is said to welcome a return to Everton and Goodison Park should they increase interest within him. I did a video on Benitez's sacking yesterday and I spoke about the toxic environment that Everton are currently in, so do check that out if you haven't already. That'd be very much appreciated. Basically, I said that a new manager doesn't fix everything within that club, and the club themselves are hoping that a manager will eventually come in with a magic wand to make things better for the club and to heal this club and to make things at this club work from top to bottom, inside and out. And it's just completely unrealistic that one guy can obviously do that. It will take a massive joint effort from everybody involved to be a clear and transparent club and to actually come up with a plan for the future to get to their goals stage by stage, step by step. So it's a really big time for Everton Football Club right now. It's a really intriguing time for Everton Football Club right now. We just have to wait and see how this all develops and unfolds. Our next story is another interesting one as it surrounds Brentford, who have allegedly made contact with Christian Eriksen over a return to the Premier League for the Danish superstar. The Danish star is currently out of contract and a free agent after coming to an agreement with his last club, Inter Milan, over a mutual termination due to obviously players in Serie A not being allowed to wear implantable cardioverter defibrillators that Eriksen was fitted with after he collapsed and suffered a cardiac arrest during Denmark's game against Finland in the European Championships last summer. Inter and Eriksen discussed it. They agreed on a mutual termination. He is now a free agent, and since then Eriksen has gone on to state that he is determined to get his professional football career back underway again, as he has big hopes and big plans to make it into Denmark's squad for the World Cup at the end of this year, of course, in Qatar. The news today suggests that Brentford have made contact with him, but they aren't alone, as there are allegedly several other teams that are allegedly interested in securing the Danish superstar's services. But again, from The Athletic, they are running reports that the Bees have held talks with the Danish playmaker over an initial 6-month contract that could see him extend his stay for a further year, depending on how things develop there. We know that Eriksen is a technically gifted player with a great playmaking ability. He's great from set pieces, chips in with the odd goal here and there as well. And if Eriksen can replicate just some of the good quality and ability and form that he showed at Tottenham over his 7-year stay with the club during 2013 to 2020, Brentford might have picked up a very decent player indeed for their fight in the Premier League for obviously a free transfer as far as free transfers go. Of course, with his current condition, it does represent a bit of a gamble, but this man is a leader. He's got bags of Premier League experience. It will also be great to see him back in England's top tier division, and Brentford may have found a more creative link that will help the Bees to start scoring more goals, and that will possibly please the likes of Ivan Toney, who could thrive under playing with such a creative player. However, like I say, Brentford aren't the only ones that are interested, and we wait and see what the future has in store for one Christian Eriksen. And finally, from one Danish star to another, we come to Chelsea's Andreas Christensen, who's attracting a fair bit of interest, it has to be said. According to Fabrizio Romano, Christensen is set to be making his final decision on his future very, very soon. The centre-back's contract at Stamford Bridge is of course up at the end of the season, meaning he is currently free to be able to talk to foreign clubs over a pre-contract agreement to see where his future footballing career lies. Although a contract with Chelsea is still on the table, nothing is set in stone and nothing has said to be moving on that front. So Christensen seems to be appearing to keep his options open, despite obviously a contract extension keeping him with the Blues at Stamford Bridge seems to, like I say, be on the table. But Romano has stated that if he is to move away from Stamford Bridge, then it seems that both Bayern Munich and Barcelona are currently leading the race to sign the 25-year-old defender. Romano has also gone on to state that there is said to be interest from fellow Premier League clubs, but it's being said that out of respect for Chelsea, Christensen would be looking to turn down any kind of offer from a fellow Premier League side out of respect. It's an interesting story, this one. We know that Christensen isn't the main centre-back at Chelsea. He's more used as more of a rotational defender at the club. He's not a regular starter, but maybe at 25 years of age, he probably needs to be. We know that under Thomas Tuchel, like I say, he's more of a rotational player. He'll come in for a few games here and there, and then be dropped to the bench for a few games. I think if he is to go to Bayern Munich, who, like I say, are strongly interested in signing him, that will obviously represent a massive opportunity for him to go on and win silverware in the Bundesliga and also challenge even further, or however that may seem, for Champions League glory as well, being one of the biggest clubs in Germany. Whilst for Barcelona, for all of their money troubles, their financial issues and everything else that's going on with that club, that would represent first team football and maybe a chance at being a part of the resurrection of the Spanish Giants. So despite all that, there is pros and cons to both sides, I guess, and of course, like I say, there is still the option of maintaining being a Chelsea player by extending his stay, as there does seem to be a contract with the Blues still on the table. But it is interesting, this one. It is interesting as well because this is very similar to the Antonio Rudiger situation, in that this Chelsea side, with their triumph in the Champions League last season and the way they're going about their business right now, their transfer activity, and the way they are building towards the future to challenge for more silverware, more league titles and more cups, it does seem interesting that two players like that would want to leave this club. I don't know whether something else is going on internally, but it is interesting to ponder and to think about. Either way though, Andreas Christensen may be someone to keep your eyes on for the near future. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of any of the news topics that I talked about in this video? What do you make of the Bruno Fernandes situation? Is it just something out of nothing, which I believe it to be? What do you make of the PierreEmerick Aubameyang situation? Kind of sad for him in a way, but hopefully it's nothing too serious. What do you make of the Everton situation? Who do you see taking over and succeeding Rafa Benitez as their new manager? What do you make of the Christian Eriksen situation? Where do you see his footballing future lie? And I guess the same question can be asked of Andreas Christensen. Where will his future lie as well? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, and predictions, and whatever else you want to call it down below in the comment section, because I'm sure it'll make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and probably greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another New-Newz video, and I will see you all again soon in another video.